Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Astara in Azerbaijan. Now, this is not the best map of Astara. It's the only one that showed Astara, so it's the one I'm using. But it's roughly this section of the southernmost region of Azerbaijan. And pretty much all the things I want to talk about aren't labeled, so you'll have to take my word for it until we go to the tablet and I'll show you on Google Earth. But I bet the first thing you're wondering is, what is this Astara? This is Astara in Iran. The Astara River creates the border between Azerbaijan and Iran here. Very important to its history. And the river splits the town into two, the Azeri side and the Iranian side. And of course we'll talk about that in history and how that came to be. But yes, do know that there are technically one town, but now it's two towns. An Azerbaijani town, I should say, and an Iranian town of the same name next to each other just across the river. This region is dominated by two big geographical areas. The most obvious one you can tell is the Caspian Sea, the largest inland body of water. Some say the largest lake. It's one of those debatable things in geography, like is Australia a continent, so on and so forth. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, it's just labels. It's the Caspian Sea, okay? Is it a lake? Is it too big to be a lake? You all have your opinions on that. Don't worry about it. It's not going to change anything. But the Caspian Sea provides the main industry of Astara, which is, of course, fishing. The sturgeon live in the Caspian Sea, which their roe or eggs is what makes caviar. But hold on to that thought, because the next place we visit tomorrow, we're going to go to probably the largest producer of caviar, at least on the Caspian, if not the world. So while there is lots of good fishing here in Astara, just wait, okay? Hold on to that thought. The other geographic region is the Talish Mountains, which again aren't labeled, but you can see they cover this whole area here and come down along the Caspian coast, way down into Iran. These are green, lush, beautiful mountains, which is interesting because on the other side is much more barren. It's Iran, much drier. So the Caspian gets all of that beautiful wind and water off the Caspian up into the mountains. Doesn't go any further. It stops right here along the river there. And this is where we can find the Hirkan National Park, which you can see labeled here. But it's really like all this. Which again, it's not a great map. It extends a lot farther out. And it's a very, very beautiful, wild place. It's gorgeous. The other thing that Astara is really known for, at least in Azerbaijan, is for its hot springs. Azerbaijan in general has a lot of weird geothermal things going on. And whether it's mud volcanoes or burning natural gas deposits. And this place has hot springs. So this is what people would typically come to the area for, and apparently people cross over from the Iranian side to visit the hot springs too, which is fun, right? Always fun to hop over to another country for a day. I don't get that luxury here in America. Maybe if I was up north or farther south, but alas. And I think that's it for geography. Now, history was a little rough to research. I found little bits and pieces here and there on the internet. I found a lot about this town called Seir, which is not labeled on this map either. It's about right here, so way up in the mountains. Actually, it's not. It's in a valley way down below the mountains, but way up in the mountains, you know. I found a news article about this guy whose last name was Aliyev, so he may not just be a guy, I don't know. But this guy in the town, his hobby was to go up into the caves in the mountains and find pieces of pottery shards that date from who knows how long. And the article was him trying to get the attention of the government to be like, hey, there's something here. But that article's written 2 years ago, so I don't think anything came of that. But it's a good testament that shows that civilization had been happening up in the mountains for a long, long time. They tried to date it, and it dates to the Bronze Age, but that could mean lots of things, you know. Ancient times, pretty much. All that I could really find about Astara in its ancient times was that it was a caravan stop, and the region had a big caravanserai, which is a kind of like a motel for traders on the Silk Road. And from what I read, it was a very big meeting spot because we have, you know, the Caucasus are just up there, Europe's just over there, Asia's on the other end of the Caspian. So it was a big meetup trading spot for a long time, in particular between the 1500s to the mid 1700s. It was really, really hopping. From what I can tell, from what little research I could find, the Talish Khanate was ruling the region at that time, and they really accelerated in power in the mid 1700s. Astara was their capital, but they moved it up here to Lankaran, and Astana declined. I even read that a lot of the main structures were ruined during the relocation. But times were soon to change even more in the early 1800s when Russia and Persia went to war, mainly over who would get to control what, because Russia was rapidly expanding and starting to encroach on Persian lands, and of course the Persians did not like that. So 2 big treaties changed this area forever. The Treaty of Gulistan in 1813 officially divided up what was going to be Russian land and what was going to be Persian land, and Astara fell under the Russian area. Then in 1828, the Treaty of Turkmenchai drew the lines officially, and apparently they chose the Astara-Shay River to be the border, which of course divided the city in half. So the northern half belonged to the Russians, the southern half belonged to the Persians. And if I'm being honest, that's where all of my research just hit a wall and I couldn't find any other information. Most of my research came from Iranian websites, interestingly enough. But I can assume that this area, became part of the Soviet Union in the 1920s. Surely the fish industry was super ramped up, probably during the 1950s. Independence would come to Azerbaijan in the early 1990s, the collapse of the Soviet Union. And here we are today. And from what I can tell, people cross over constantly with no issue, mainly Iranians visiting the Azeri city because of the hot springs. But apparently it's no issue. It's not a big thing. The people living here are still Azeri, They're technically Iranian by, political nationality, but ethnically they're still Azeri. So it's not a big deal. There's no big gap in culture or anything. They're still Muslim. They still speak the same language. They're not, coming over speaking Farsi. They're speaking Azeri. So it's not a big deal, which is great. That's how it should be in cities like this, in little twin cities. It shouldn't be an issue at all, which is great. But since that's all that I have for history, why don't we head over to the tablet so I can show you some really beautiful, interesting slideshows of this area. Here we are, Astara district, I believe. I think they have a word for it in Azerbaijan, but I forgot what it was. Let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world if you're not sure where Azerbaijan is located. It's a region known as the Caucasus, which is this area here, wedged between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. Very green and mountainous. The Caucasus Mountains is what it's named after. And it's literally the bridge between East and West, right? You can see Asia's over here, Europe's over here, Russia's up there. And a couple things you can see from above. You can see this gorgeous green belt just bordering the Caspian here. Isn't it pretty? We looked at it a bit in some Iranian videos already, but we're going to check out this part in Azerbaijan, and you can see just how massive the Caspian is, right? It is way too big for its own good. Is it a lake? Technically. Is it an inland sea? Technically. It's all of the above. It's all good. So let's start off. You can see the borders here, right? It's not a very large district. Let's start off in the city here of Astara, which you can see from above. There's the river, and there's the Iranian side right here. Here's the Azeri side up here. Now, I didn't find very many slideshows up here to show you. We do have this lovely little seaside area. In San Francisco, where I grew up, it's called the Embarcadero. Just the little coastal area where you walk. There's a sign pointing to Iran. Where you can enjoy the water, but it's not, a beach, it's a seaside enjoying area. There's some rides there. That's the worst. I hate these rides, the ones that go side to side. Oh, I cannot handle it. It makes me so unwell. But we can see some cool old buildings there. Cool big human chessboard. You could play wizard chess. And enjoy the Caspian waters. And that's pretty cool. Big fountain. Here's a beach. Isn't that fun? It looks like a very rocky, pebbly beach. Not exactly the kind of beach you want to bring your towel and like buckets and stuff to play. This looks like a better area to play with your littles. But rocky beaches are kind of fun too. You can beachcomb there and find all kinds of really, really neat shaped rocks and even some little shells and creatures, right? Those are always fun beaches too. You can see from above all the little park areas they have along the water here. It's very nice. There's the little theme park. I wonder if that's a hot spring there, or if it's just a very alkaline lake, or a very mossy lake. I'm not sure. Maybe this, if I tap on this, it'll tell me. Ruda Kanar. Oh, we've got, is it a horse or a cow? I think it's a cow. How beautiful. These mountains are so gorgeous. Oh, it's lovely. Oh, maybe they're sheepies. They're sheepies. Yeah, that's all we've got there. can see all of the farmland here, and up north too. Look at all of these little patchwork farms. Isn't it sweet? Very pastoral, and along the water too. How gorgeous. But why don't we, so I don't get lost, check out Hirkan National Park. Look how thick these mountains are. So green and lush, and if we go in close, you can see how big and rocky they are. Very, very pointed. Look at this paradise. Is that not beautiful? Oh my gosh, that water looks really fun to swim in. Hopefully it's not too unsafe, because it looks very inviting. And look at these trees that change color like you're in New England. How absolutely stunning this place must be in the autumn. This doesn't look real. This looks like a digital artwork because it's too beautiful, too peaceful. All the soft moss, the babbling brook here. It's so pretty. I've been hiking a couple times in some of the more mountainy California areas, and it looks like this, right? Just thick, lush green trees. In the autumn, it's all crunchy and delicious. Well, not delicious, you know. The sounds are delicious. You know how it is with ASMR. And it's all just very peaceful and calm pictures like this. Almost feels like there's fairies around, like this is an enchanted wood. Almost. It's so pretty. And look, I saw this picture and went, this can't be from this park. But surely enough it is. There is a species of leopard. It's very, very endangered, but it lives in this national park. Isn't that crazy? It's so pretty. So this is clearly probably like a nighttime cam that was set up to try to capture one, and they did. Capture it on film, of course. How special is that? Yeah, this looks like California to me. It makes me feel like I'm home looking at these pictures. How beautiful. Big, gorgeous waterfall. And some delicious tea to drink by the lakeside. Put this back in 2D. And I'm going to show you, goodness, I saw it a second ago before I looked at the slideshow and I've lost. I can't find what I was going to show you. Oh, there it is. Seam. So when you search this region, all that really comes up is seam. So somebody is doing some really good tourism stuff in this tiny town. Because look at this town. There's like nothing. It's just a little valley area next to these huge peaks. There's like really nothing here. So somebody somewhere is hyping up the town of Seam to get people to come and hike and explore and enjoy the gorgeous nature here. And there's a big beautiful waterfall that these guys are enjoying, which is apparently the main draw. Gorgeous. They have lots of little places to stay out in the wilderness. Oh, purity. It's wonderful. Look at this. This almost looks like Japan, you know. It's a gorgeous little wood. There's the big waterfall. Oh, I bet it's very loud. Oh my goodness. Look at these fluffy goats. My goodness, they have such long hair. But yeah, there's lots of like little villas out that you can rent and stay at. Have a little camp out here by the waterfall. Just be careful, of course. And go hiking and enjoy these beautiful, beautiful sights. Oh, it sounds wonderful. That's probably one of the little cabins, I don't know. But I think that is all that I have to show you for tonight. It's a very tiny region and not a lot of slideshows. Maybe we can find one more place to look at while I close out the video. Maybe over here. Do you think Mashkan has any pictures? Oh, look at this. What are those, like tangerines? Some kind of little fruits growing here in this orchard. But that's all that I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this style of content, please consider subscribing. This is an ongoing series on my channel, and like I said, we have some adventures for tomorrow. We are heading just north. Why don't we go check it out? We're gonna head up the Caspian past this big lagoon here, past all these peninsulas, past Baku, it's the capital of Azerbaijan. We are gonna go up the water to the Volga Delta region. Up here in Russia. We're going to visit Astrakhan. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. Okay, where did I go? I'm still in Russia. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good